Daryl passed away, this was the last thing that I had. This is the only thing that I have of him. But I'm so sick of you. Every time you get pissed, telling me who I cannot see. So I looked it up and I found out that I have grandparents' rights.
Why is this young woman standing in this courtroom set then?
I go over there all the time to her house, close to my grandkids.
He's 31.
Yeah, I know.
31.
How long did it find
Not
you?
3
You were
months.
married 5 times. Where were you moving? All over the state.
A lot of people said, no, they do not look alike, but she looked exactly like him.
She did, Your Honor, and as a matter of fact...
They posted the picture sitting at home on the sofa. He was like, hey, what you looking at? I said, I'm looking at this. I said, look at this. Look what he posted on Instagram. He
And
was
I
like,
spazzed.
really? I told him to take it down.
Oh boy, here we go. The case kicks off with Miss Banks tossing some serious shade, saying Miss Hawkins is wrongly claiming her late son Daryl is the daddy. She's pretty sure Daryl had his doubts before he passed away, and their whole thing was a roller coaster. Miss Hawkins, on the other hand, is standing her ground, convinced Daryl was all in, and Miss Banks is just in denial. Buckle up, because this drama train is just leaving the station.
Ms. Banks, you say the defendant is pinning her baby on your son, Daryl, who was tragically murdered before her child was born. He didn't believe he was the father, and you intend to prove that. Ms. Hawkins, you state Ms. Banks has no idea how much Daryl loved you, legacy Jasani, and you claim today's DNA results will prove Daryl is the father.
Next up, Miss Banks spills the tea about how Daryl and Miss Hawkins met. Apparently, it was a love at first like on Facebook that turned real messy real fast. They were the definition of it's complicated, breaking up more times than we can count. Miss Banks was even plotting a DNA test because, surprise, there were other ladies claiming Daryl was their baby daddy too. Hang tight, the gossip gets juicier.
I don't believe that Johnny is my grandson, and I'm here to prove it today for the simple fact that Jada and my son had a very rocky relationship. Me and my son were really, really close, talked all the time. I never knew of Jada really until right before my son's death. Jada met my son on Facebook, and she came and moved in with him the same day that she met him.
Dive deeper into the soap opera as the judge tries to untangle this web of love, lies, and maybe babies. They chat about how Daryl and Miss Hawkins were on again, off again, and whether there might be another guy who could be the dad. Miss Hawkins sets the record straight about the timeline, insisting the math adds up with Daryl as the dad. Strap in, folks, we're about to hit some major turbulence.
Daryl and I had a strong relationship. We were on and off. I loved him very much. He loved me very much. When I told him I was pregnant, he wanted me to keep it. We got back together and we started working on it.
When you were broken up, were you all seeing other people?
Yes, he was single.
And so if you could this other person potentially be your child's father?
No, Your Honor. I was only with someone else for 2 weeks.
Can you believe this mess? When Daryl dropped the bomb that Jada was preggo, Miss Banks was like, who the heck is Jada? Turns out she was just the latest in a long line of girlfriends. Miss Banks wasn't buying any of it, especially with a few other potential baby mamas in the picture. Just wait, it's about to get even more bonkers.
He came to me, he called me on the phone, and he was like, Mom, Jada's pregnant. And I was like, who is Jada? He was like, she's my new girlfriend. And I was, oh, here we go again. My son had a lot of girlfriends. To me, Jada was just another girl. Now she's saying she's pregnant. Of course, Daryl was gonna be like, he wants to have a baby. He comes from a large family. He has 6 brothers and sisters.
Things heat up with a fiery exchange about who really wanted the baby and who's trying to pin it on who. Miss Hawkins claps back, saying she went back to Daryl because another dude bailed on her. Insults fly and the emotional meter goes through the roof. You think this is wild? Just wait till the judge steps in.
I literally got back to Daryl on October 20th and he passed away October 21st.
And you were the last person to see him.
Yes, I was not the last person to see him.
The
people
murderers
that
were.
did that was the last people to see him.
You're right.
She feels like
How
I'm the
painful
reason
this
her
is.
son is dead. That's how she feels. You're really the reason your son is dead.
The reason he's dead.
The reason.
He
And you know
made
that.
Everyone take a breath because the judge is about to try and calm this storm. She's all about finding out the truth for the sake of the kiddo, who might be left without his real dad or any dad at all. It's a heavy moment, folks. The anticipation is building. Keep watching for the DNA drum roll.
Once he passes, do you try to form a relationship with Miss Hawkins?
I tried to form a relationship with her because I knew Jada's situation. She's young, I have a bunch of kids, I have a house. So I talked to Jada on the phone and I said to her, well, Jada, come on, move to Houston with us. I can help you better if you live close to me.
This is the moment we've been waiting for. Miss Banks is sorta open to the idea of being a grandma. The test says yes. The tension is thick enough to cut with a knife as they all wait for those life-changing DNA results. Trust me, the big reveal is up next, and it's a doozy.
Daryl passed away. This was the last thing that I had. This is the only thing that I have of him. But I'm so sick of you. Every time you get pissed, telling me who I cannot see. So I looked it up and I found out that I have grandparents' rights. And I don't have to kiss your little young behind no more. That if this is my grandson today, I can get me some grandparents' rights. And I ain't got to talk to you or be your friend.
Hold on to your popcorn because here comes the big bombshell.
It has been determined by this court, the percentage of relatedness between Miss LaWinda Banks and Jasani Daniel is 99.99%. You are related.
All right, folks, grab your popcorn. Mrs. Watts steps up to the plate in a tough spot. She's here because of her son, Alex, who's sadly no longer with us. He was tragically taken from us way too soon. And now, she's not so sure he's the daddy of Ms. Cheryl's little kiddo, Caden. She's called for a DNA test to set the record straight.
You are here on behalf of your deceased son, Alex, who was tragically murdered just a few months ago. Very sorry for your loss. You stand here on his behalf because you doubt the defendant's 20-month-old son, Caden, and you have asked for a DNA test to determine truth.
Brace yourselves. This is a tough one. Mrs. Watts gets this awful call about a shooting, and it turns out both her boys were caught up in it. They went to chill at a buddy's house who had some beef with some dudes, and bam, it all went south. The crowd's totally shook as she spills the beans on this nightmare.
Over the last 6 months, received a phone call, come to a shooting where they said that my son was involved. When I got there, I didn't know at the time that my other son went to visit a friend who had some type of altercation with some gentlemen prior to my sons coming to visit their home. When my two sons got there, they were ambushed and murdered.
You could hear a pin drop. Judge Lake lays it out pretty thick, talking about the double whammy Mrs. Watts is dealing with, losing her sons and not knowing if her grandbaby is actually related. It's a whole lot of sad with a side of mystery.
In addition to that absolute unbearable tragedy, we have a paternity situation where you have now had to live with the doubt as to this beautiful little boy, Caden, is in fact your grandchild.
Yes.
Now here comes Ms. Cheryl, all confident. She's sure her baby Caden is Alex's mini-me. They were tight as can be, she says, showing off a video that's all kinds of adorable, making everyone go, aw. Don't go anywhere. This emotional roller coaster isn't over yet.
The relationship was like father and son bond relationship. They were like two peas in a pod. Alex loved Caden to death.
Ms. Cheryl, you submitted a video, Caden and Alex, which you say show the nature of their relationship.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you submitted that to the court.
Yeah, because like you don't hear what I'm saying. I don't care.
Just when you think you've seen it all, boom, a text message bombshell drops. Ms. Cheryl once wasn't so sure about who the daddy was and texted Mrs. Watts about needing a DNA test. Yep, you heard right. This plot twist adds a whole new layer of suspense.
When it comes to Caden being Alex's child, to Alex, he didn't care to get a blood test. To him, Caden was.
My son had went away for some time, and before he went away, he told us was pregnant. I guess this was during the time that they were on, and then when she had Alex's, and she said that she didn't know she needed a DNA test. Sent it to me in a text message.
And then the plot thickens with a mysterious birth certificate. No dad's name? That's right, folks. Caden's birth cert is missing a father's name. Ms. Cheryl used a friend's last name instead because, well, she was hedging her bets.
Were you there when Caden was born?
No.
I didn't tell nobody when I was in labor with Caden, Your Honor.
Alex wasn't there either?
No.
No, yeah, and didn't see the baby for 2 months.
On the birth certificate, there is father's name listed. It's not your last name, and it's not Mr. Stewart's last name.
I gave him a friend of mine's last name only because, to me, I have a female's last name. I didn't want a female's last name.
Everyone's on the edge of their seats now.
It has been determined by this court. The percentage of relatedness between Ms. Lita Watts and Caden is 0.006%. You are not related.
At the start of the episode, the case of Percival Hansen versus Hansen rolls out. Ms. Percival drops the bomb that for over 3 decades, her dad, Mr. Hansen, has totally ghosted her as his kid. She spills the tea on how she's felt snubbed her whole life. Buckle up, because the drama is just getting started.
This is the case of Percival Hansen versus Hansen.
Ms. Percival, you say for the past 31 years your father has never been willing to accept you as his biological daughter. Now, Mr. Hansen, you claim you did not sleep with Ms. Percival's mother at the time she was conceived, and there is way she is your daughter.
That's right, Your Honor.
Things are heating up. Mr. Hansen fiercely denies being Ms. Percival's pops, claiming no hanky-panky with her mom when she was conceived. He throws in a twist with another lady about to storm in, claiming he's her father too. The plot thickens, and you'll want to stick around for it.
She's not my daughter.
Additionally, there is yet another young woman waiting outside of the room claiming Mr. Hansen, her father. She will be joining us shortly, accompanied by her mother.
Hold on to your popcorn, folks. Ms. Percival opens up about growing up feeling ditched because Mr. Hansen treated her sister like a princess, but treated her like she was invisible. Mr. Hansen defends his honor, saying cheating is not his style, cranking up the family feud.
I feel like he's rejected me since my whole life. I've grown up not knowing who my father was, knowing that my sister, he accepted her when she was a baby, but denied denied me the whole entire time. My father was, because he refused to take a DNA test.
Why is it you deny?
I was married with another woman at the time. There's no way. Me and the other woman that I was in a relationship with was having a baby, and I don't cheat.
Can you feel the heat? As another possible Hansen offspring and her mom enter the court, the accusations of Mr. Hansen's two-timing fly faster. He keeps batting them away, swearing he's been Mr. Faithful. Brace yourself, because things are about to go off the rails.
When were you told that he was your father?
When I was 6 years old.
And from that point on, you had in your mind, this is your father. But he's never established a real relationship.
No, I barely met him personally 2 months ago at Teresa's house.
That's a 50-50 chance, too. That story.
That's
right.
proven right there that you were.
I don't have a baby.
You won't see this coming. Ms. Villalpando, mother of the second challenger, takes the stand, hinting that Mr. Hansen might not be the saint he claims to be. The tension ratchets up as doubts about his character bubble up.
If they were married at that time, yes, as we were seeing each other often, and he went back to Tracy.
His contention is that he was married and he never.
I'll take a lie detector test. I would never cheat on Tracy.
It's your contention that he in fact was going in for.
Correct, Your Honor.
And he and father.
That's a lie. I was never with her after we split up after our first daughter was born.
Here comes the big showdown. The court buzzes with talk of a DNA test to finally put the paternity mysteries to bed. Emotions are running wild as everyone throws shade, with Mr. Hansen still playing the innocence card. Keep your eyes peeled, because the truth bomb is about to drop.
He's always taking care of them, and I just always felt like I was never worth having a father.
No, you should never have felt like that.
Yeah.
Why is this young woman standing in this courtroom set then?
I go over there all the time to her house,
Year
close
and
to
a
my
half.
grandkids.
He's 31.
Yeah, I know.
31.
How long did it find
Not
you?
3
You were
months.
married 5 times. Where were you moving? All over the state.
This is where it gets real.
When it comes to the paternity of Ms. Percival, Mr. Hansen, you are her father.
Hold on to your popcorn, folks. Mr. Avant comes to court seeking a DNA test to confirm if he's the daddy-o of Ms. Hatton's 13-month-old kiddo, Jamithia. He's freaking out over the possibility that he might just be a father figure without the father part.
Mr. Avant, you petitioned the court DNA test to determine if you are father of your fiancée, Miss Hatton's 13-month-old daughter, Jamithia. You're certain Miss Hatton has been deceiving you for over 2 years, and your biggest fear is today you will walk out of this court out a daughter.
That is correct, Your Honor.
Talk about going all in. Mr. Avant has Jamithia's name inked on his arm. He spills the beans about his rocky romance with Ms. Hatton and how he's been in baby Jamithia's life from the get-go, showing he's more than just a weekend dad. But wait, there's more drama ahead.
I have her name tattooed on my right arm on the inside of it. I've been in Jamithia's life since she's been born. When Ms. Hatton told me she was pregnant, I asked her then, are you sure?
No, he did not.
I did too.
Didn't.
She stated yes. Who else would it be? And when we was living together, I started hearing stuff that it may not be my possibility. It could be somebody
Not
else's.
true.
While shacking up together, Mr. Avant hears whispers, maybe from Ms. Hatton's fam, that maybe, just maybe, Jamithia isn't his. Ouch. This bombshell has him second-guessing their fairy tale.
Someone in her family told
Yes.
you that Jamithia may not be your child?
Yes.
Who in my family would say something like that?
I was told that it was a possibility. I also found messages on
Not
her
true.
phone showing that she was talking to her ex, telling him that they was gonna be together, she loved him. So this is an issue because we're constantly going back and forth and he is thinking that the baby is his. And at the same time, you're telling me that baby is
Your
mine.
Honor.
Okay, let's untangle this web. The courtroom turns into a math class as they hash out conception dates and due dates that just don't line up. Ms. Hatton sticks to her story, swearing Mr. Avant is the pops. The plot thickens, so stay tuned for the next chapter of Soap Opera Delights.
The other man that was involved, me and him had unprotected sex since September. The first time we had sex was in October.
Was the 11th of October to be exact. We had sex on the 11th of October. At that time, we did have unprotected sex. A couple of weeks later, Mrs. Hatton is saying that she's...
Mr. Avant was on the phone with me when I found out I was pregnant. He was the first person to know about it.
You won't believe this, but Mr. Avant points out the wacky due dates given by different docs. Talk about confusion central. This mess fuels his doubts about being Jamithia's bio dad and muddies the waters even more. And guess what? The Confusion Express has only just left the station.
That is so not true.
That's a whole 5-week window.
Not even true.
Wow, you got two different due dates far apart?
But on the birth certificate, my daughter was born July the 16th. Now, my mom said give or take days of it.
You have presented a calendar to the court that the first due date was supposed to be. It was to be July 16th.
Correct.
Heartstrings alert. Mr. Avant gets real about his time in the delivery room, coaching Ms. Hatton through the labor like a pro. This tearjerker moment shows just how tangled his emotions are, considering he might not be the father, and it's about to get even more emotional, folks.
Really, it was me that was coaching, Your Honor. Every time she would have action, I would tell Mrs. Hatton to push so we can go ahead and get Jamithia here.
First of all, this evidence you presented is the birth certificate.
Yes.
And she was born on the 16th of July. That's your proof. The conception date matches the due date. If we look at your calendar, Mr. Avant, you think that her revised due date still the 25th.
Correct.
Just when you thought it couldn't get crazy, an Instagram showdown stirs the pot. The public chimes in on whether Jamithia looks more like Mr. Avant or Mystery Man, turning this into a full-blown paternity puzzle.
A lot of people said, no, they do not look alike, but she looked exactly like him.
She did, Your Honor, and as a matter of fact,
they posted the picture sitting at home on the sofa. He was like, "Babe, what you looking at?" I said, "I'm looking at this." I said, "Look at this. Look what he posted on Instagram." He
and
was
I
like,
spazzed.
really? I told him to take it down. What he said is, Jamal should be so insecure when he knows his baby is.
The tension in the courtroom could be cut with a knife as Mr. Avant lays out his fears and Ms. Hatton vehemently claims he's the father. The crowd goes wild with support for Mr. Avant's raw honesty.
But there is a need to have a DNA test when you're not sure and you're telling other people they're possibly liable to be the father.
From the beginning.
And but I was over the road late February, early March. I'm a truck driver to see her ex.
No, I
the other dude who's supposed to be the dad. How do I know this? Because I heard it from the cow's mouth himself. He called me and said
So you didn't take the child to see?
No, I did not take her to see him. Him and his best friend came to my house.
Here it is, the big reveal. The DNA results are in. The envelope says,
"It has been determined by this court, Mr. Avant, you are not Jamithia's father." I'm very sorry, Mr. Avant.
Buckle up, folks. We dive headfirst into the drama of Gynold versus Hardin. It's the classic tale of paternity confusion with a hefty sprinkle of child support woes. Grab your popcorn because the courtroom roller coaster is just leaving the station.
This is a case of Gynold versus Hardin.
Ms. Gynold, you and your sister agree that the man you've known to be your father is denying paternity. About why you've come to court today. One of you is hoping the DNA test will prove is your biological father. The other is hoping to learn he is not.
Holy moly, wait till you get a load of this. Mr. Hardin drops a bombshell about forking over $90,000 in child support for kids he's not convinced are his. And oh, the plot thickens with tales of his partner's sketchy rendezvous. Stick around, the tea is just starting to spill.
Now, Mr. Hardin, you argue that you buried in child support payments totaling more than $90,000 for two daughters you don't believe you fathered. Furthermore, you claim that while involved with their mother, you caught her in several compromising situations with other men. And you believe it's understandable why you've always had doubt.
Tissues at the ready, it's tear-jerker time. Shani Ice lays it all out about how much she missed Daddy Dearest during her track meets and rainy days. Heartstrings are being tugged hard here, folks. Next up, Dad tries to explain his side, and you'll want to hear this.
15 years ago is the last time you saw him?
He would always say he was gonna come see us. He would just always lie. That was it.
I wanted this man so bad in my life. I played basketball. I ran track. All my friends had both mom and dad there. I had my mom. I wanted him. I watched through my windows and watched raindrops fall, and he wasn't there. He told me he was coming.
Just when you thought it couldn't get more soap opera-ish, Mr. Hardin takes the stage. He's all about blaming Mom for his MIA status, claiming she blocked his dad duties. What's coming next? Mom's fiery comeback. You don't want to miss it.
Their mother didn't allow me to come around at all. There's no way I would not want to be around my daughters, Your Honor. Paternity test from day one. Your Honor, I've always doubted because I used to catch Ms. Gannell with several different men during the course of our relationship. I would actually come in, see men running out the door, caught Ms. Gannell after I had to go out for a funeral.
Gasp! The spotlight swings to Ms. Gannell, grilled on whether she played the field while playing house with Mr. Hardin. Juicy stuff, right? Keep watching because the courtroom's about to turn up the heat with some legal jargon jazz.
Were you unfaithful?
I was dealing with somebody prior to us getting together. Like I said, prior to us getting together. He was also in a relationship. When I first got pregnant, he was excited about it. He also, like I said, had another woman pregnant. She was pregnant a month before me.
Oh boy, at about Mr. Hardin tells a woeful tale of legal blunders and mistaken paternity declarations. It's a mess, with lost licenses and more. And guess what? The drama escalates with some serious document drama up next.
Just like I never signed any parental documents, no birth certificate. I was issued a court order because I was late in the initial court date as default. I actually took my truck driver license. I was a semi-truck driver before this came about. My truck driver's license is my livelihood. That I'm the father of two beautiful young ladies here, Your Honor.
You thought it was spicy before? Mr. Hardin's been begging for a paternity test, like it's Black Friday, and it's the last TV on the shelf, but no dice from the court. Brace yourself. The financial woes saga is about to unfold.
Hardin, so
yes.
You requested a paternity test.
Several times.
You weren't granted one by the court, but you never just personally asked or even asked your daughters to take one?
On availability, I didn't have the funds to get.
I told him I paid for a DNA test and he did not want to take it.
It never happened, Your
Do
Honor.
you remember her?
Never happened.
It's all about the money, honey. Mr. Hardin digs into the gritty details of his wallet woes tied up in court battles. It's a tale of financial frenzy that's just gearing up for the big DNA reveal. You'll be on the edge of your seat.
She got my checks every job I work, so I don't know where they come
You're
from.
no, I never
Your Honor,
did.
Your
I
Honor,
never got anything. What is that you have in your hand,
Your
Mr.
Honor, I have evidence
Hardin?
showing where driver's licenses were suspended.
Will you hand me that, please?
Where garnishments of my checks and everything, Your Honor. Checks, my truck driver
I
insurance
never
and all
got
that. My
any of that
CDL
money.
license.
No, I never
You got it all.
did.
So
We
I
never
do
seen
see.
It's right there.
Feel that suspense? Mr. Hardin is all hopeful eyes and wishful thinking, looking to clear up the daddy dilemma once and for all with those DNA test results. Hold on to your seats. The truth train is about to arrive at the station.
Your Honor, my host today is initially find out if
That you're not our dad.
I am the biological father, Kiara and Shanice. I know that they're feeling, I didn't want to bring them here today with feeling good about it at all. I've been hurt the whole entire time. I just want a better relationship, and I actually just to know.
And boom, goes the dynamite.
In the case of Ganald v. Hardin, when it comes to Kiara Ganald, Mr. Hardin are her father.
Okay, strap in, folks, because Ms. Schenk just dropped a bombshell right out of the gate. She claims that Mr. Robinson started doubting he was the daddy when their daughter, Serenity, hit the terrific twos. She tells us how this whole paternity drama is pulling him away, leaving her and the kiddo in a tough spot. The audience's awes say it all.
You claim that when your daughter Serenity turned 2, Mr. Robinson began to doubt paternity. And since then, you claim he's now breaking your heart to watch her suffer. Mr. Robinson, you state from the moment Serenity was born, you were heavily involved in her life and developed a very strong bond. Her biological father and started to pursue DNA tests of another man, you pulled away.
Yes, Your Honor.
Buckle up, here comes a curveball. Mr. Robinson lays it out for us. Everything was peachy with baby Serenity and Ms. Schenk until, wham, 5 months in, she hits him with the news that he might not be the father after all. Yep, she admitted to a fling with a buddy of his. And suddenly, daddy duties aren't looking so clear.
Up to 2 years of Serenity's life, I was there for her. And Mrs. Schenk, she was 5 months pregnant, told me that I may not be her father because she slept with a friend.
You said you were there, you found out Ms. Schenk was pregnant, you thought you were having a baby.
Yes, ma'am.
It was never ever mentioned to you that there could possibly be another father.
Grab your popcorn. This is the juicy part. Ms. Schenk spills all the tea about how she and Mr. Robinson were an item, sorta on and off. And then oops, one night stand might have thrown a wrench in the works. She's all tears and regret, hoping to sort this mess out in court.
She told me that she had slept with a friend of mine, didn't know if I was the father or if he was the father.
So Ms. Schenk, that happened.
Yes, Your Honor. When I first found out I was pregnant, he was there. Like he said, we were in an on and off relationship. Around the time I had slept with him, I did sleep with somebody else.
Oh, it gets wilder. Now, Ms. Schenk talks about trying to track down this mystery man for a DNA test. But guess what? He's as elusive as a cat in a yarn shop. This adds a whole new level of soap opera to the drama, especially since little Serenity thinks Mr. Robinson is her dad.
You made plans to have the other man?
Yes, but couldn't find him. When my daughter was first born, she didn't look anything like him. She looked just like the other man.
As Mr. Robinson was bonding with the baby, really stepping up to the plate as father, in your mind, you're looking and you're saying, my baby looks just like the other guy.
Yes, Your Honor.
And I need to have him tested.
The tension's mounting, folks. Mr. Robinson whips out a baby photo, trying to prove he and Serenity share more than a love for mashed bananas. Both grandmas weigh in, hoping to put a lid on this family feud with some good old-fashioned common sense. Don't wander off. The courtroom's about to get hit by a wave of feels.
I think that Serenity looks like me. I have a picture of
And this is, sir?
that is Serenity and myself.
How about you, Ms. Schenk?
I can say yeah, and I can say no. Serenity looked like him. They both have a prominent in their teeth. We don't have in our family in our teeth, and he and his mom do. As like I said, as she's gotten older, she's starting to favor Mr. Robinson.
You might need tissues for this bit. Mr. Robinson's mom pops up on video, pouring out how crushed her son was to learn he might not be the dad. It's a tearjerker, folks, complete with heartache and dashed hopes. But keep those eyes peeled. The big reveal is just moments away.
I think that Serenity may not be Jamaria's daughter because Brittany went out and cheated on Jamaria, one of his friends. When she gave him the information that it may not have been his, he was really hurt. I mean, he was crying hurt. Yeah, I did try to express to him not to get close to this child until he knew for sure. Did tell him that one day the truth will come out.
And here's the moment we've all been waiting for. Drum roll, please.
Versus Robinson when it comes to 2-year-old Serenity Schenk. Jamario Robin is her father.